Day 7 of the Advent calendar. I don't think this box isn't really going to last, is it? Let's be fair. I have a feeling that we will end up with quite a few Good, give it there. Ow! Oh, you see, this is what I wanted to avoid. Oh, I don't know what to do. I know what to do. Ow! Bucket. Right. Should we start again? It's fucking fallen into the one underneath now. Oh. You see? It's fucking going to have to go in there. I'm in there almost up to the elbow, look. And I think, oh bloody hell, I think I absolutely fucked this up. I think I've damaged day 17. Oh no. Well, at least we've got today's stout. Thank fuck for that. But look, day 17, I'm going to have to, right, look. I'm sorry. I really think I ought to edit all of that out, because I think I've irrevocably. Sorry. I could just pretend that I've just pulled. Day 7, everybody. Day 7. Stout. Going to return to this whole thing about filtering. Now there was about 5 ounces. I might need to check the recipe. Hang on. Not that many. 3.5 ounces then, we'll say, went into the copper. And this, I have to admit, it's not the finest of mesh, but this little bazooka kept all that from going toward the plate chiller. I think that is probably about as good a filtration system as you're ever likely to get. And we still managed to fill the fermenter. Have a quick look at the Y filter just before it goes into the plate chiller. Okay, moment of truth. Well, it stopped some. Let's get that one out of there. Have a little look. That's not bad, is it? There you go. So this whole thing about filtration is, for me, fairly straightforward now. I think this is the type of mesh filter that works for the larger part with hops from the copper. Let's look at this lot. Something quite therapeutic about this. Right, now, so that, look at that lot there. This is what that cheap bazooka filter from China. I certainly didn't buy it from any of the local home brew shops or online things. I'm fairly sure it was China, but it does exactly what I need it to do. Now when we're up to the 100 litre kit, I suspect I'm going to need a few of these switchable, because this was 25 litres, pretty much nearly got to the stage of rendering this completely clogged, I think. So I'll know from the sight glass when it is kind of like clogged, and then, well, I'll know from there being no output when it's clogged, and then just by using a freeway tap, switch to the next one. Good. So here's the idea. From the sight glass coming out of the copper, instead of just having, as I did yesterday, the one filter, I would split it with this two-way valve, and then have pretty much the same on the bottom, so another valve. Yeah, okay, I think that's a goer. It'll certainly be a way of quickly avoiding any cloggage. But now I'm thinking so this was out of a 25 odd litre. We ought to possibly be alright for sort of like 60 litre. I don't know. Might be a combination of having another filter somehow inside the kettle, but not not a massive one. Any filter's going to get clogged up. If they're outside of the kettle, it's easier to take them off and clean them. So it might just be that if this all goes tits up and both of these get clogged, you know, I just turn the whole thing off like that, so nothing can come down. Take one of these out, take them both out, or if one gets clogged, take the other one out. If this gets clogged, switch over to this one. Oops. Take this out, clean it. I'm fairly sure I've got one spare of these, so I could always have this ready. I've got another spool tube somewhere, I think. Oh. If not, they're not massively expensive. I've probably got, yeah, no. Right, now that's the other thing. I'd need to have these connectors on the end, because at the moment I'm just using a tapped tri-clamp fitting with a tap on the other side to hold it, whereas if we're going to have tri-clamps on both ends, I'll need to use one of these. So this is where the filter screws into, and then that fits underneath on the spool tube like that, and then you've got the other tri-clamp. Yeah, because at the moment, let me just clarify that. See, at the moment all these are 1/2 inch tri-clamp females, into which I've put a little tap to hold the bazooka filter. So the only other way would be to get a male threaded tri-clamp to go into there and connect it, which actually, do you know, it's just as fucking easy, isn't it? Those ones, the other ones that Clive found, are just more convenient, but I don't know. Well, that's a part of the filtering. But looking at how clogged this got, almost totally compacted, I think this is, yeah, it has stopped the stuff getting through, and it has taken all of the filtration outside of the copper, which is a good thing, because it means you're getting the most from the hops inside the copper. What I've found with this one is that the mesh is so fine, and to an extent with this one as well. I think it's probably pretty much the same sized mesh, that it gets just totally clogged and won't allow anything to get through. So I don't know why the bazooka with the much larger, if we see, look, doesn't get as clogged. It's a bit of a mystery. But anyway, that's where we're going with the filtering. The next question is the larger Mash Tun. Now, I had a quick chat with a chap from Powell Brewing over near Flint in Wales, which is, if you never had a chance to go there, it's a bloody beautiful part of the world. And so I had a chat with him. What they do is they knock hole at bottom, bring the tap out here of the thermo pots, and on his website they've got the top Sparge connector here. It shouldn't be too much of a problem for him to put it there. The only other thing is going to be, oh god, at the back there, oops, sorry, is putting the thermo well in. So that's kind of like going to be the issue, I'm guessing, because it's 30 mil. So he will have to. Why can't just hang on? Sorry, boys and girls. This is a bit heavy because I've left the grain in there from yesterday. It was just too cold and everything last night. So this thermal well, really, it's just one of the malt miller ones. I'm wondering how long it is. Let me get a tape measure. So what we're interested in is the protuberances. Let's do it from that side and we'll actually see it. Now, if it's 30 mil insulated and then 1 mil, we'll still have enough sticking out the other side to put a large nut on and then poke the, because all this is, with this thermal well, I got some PT100s with a thread on, and I put a tiny little amount of thread in here just so it bites enough not to fall out. And typically, you know, they say they're stainless steel. But it doesn't need to go anywhere near anything that might be contaminated by a little bit of iron oxide. So that's the only. So I reckon he could probably do that. It's a standard 21 mil. Fairly sure it's a standard 21 mil. Or I could do it. You know, drill a hole through, make a slightly bigger hole, just big enough to get a Q-max in. Install this on the inside, and then once that's all tight, put a larger washer over and a nut. Job done. So I can't remember what the chap's name was. Sound enough guy at Powell Brewing. So all coming together gradually. The 100 litre jobbies are sort of ready. I'm going to give them a bit of a polish before we think about doing the welding. I need to order the welding tri-clamps. I've got a theory on how I'm going to make sure that the TCs will actually be kind of like level and not, because you see there, if you put it in there, it would be tilting up, which is basically by putting it on a stand. So that'll be sat flat, stood, you know, sat thing, and then stand pipe, and then just, you know, too tired. It's been a long old few days. The next thing I'm thinking about when we've got all this set up is ways to slow down the sparge. And I've got various bits of tube. I might make, this is stainless tube, I might make either a Valentine Arm, or if one of my electronically minded peepees, I might get a stainless steel catering bucket, square one, like that goes in a bain-marie, something like that, with a lid. And that's for the sparge runoff from the Mash Tun, and then little switches. I'll do a diagram. So this is the Valentine Arm, and essentially this height here is the height that you would want above your mash. That's right. So your water, if your grain bed is here, your sparge water you want at a certain level, so your water will always find its own level, and from here it will just run down. Right, air here to stop the siphon, so it won't siphon. So the bit that needs to be adjustable is this here. I think that's probably doable quite easily. The other option would be to have this on something that you can rise and lower, and then just have a bit of hose here. I think that's how the Valentine arm works. Anyway, the thing I'm really interested in is the underback. And this is basically a pot with an outlet to the pump, and you have your runoff from your sparge, because I'm trying to slow the sparge as much as possible. So this controls, essentially both are controlled by the sparge water coming in from the HLT. Okay, so if the HLT is only dripping sparge in ever so gradually, then you're only going to get a drip coming out ever so gradually. It's all the physics. But this container here with the outlet to the pump, actually I mean that would be at the bottom, wouldn't it? Right, so forget that one. So that's the outlet to the pump, but there's two switches. So there's switch 1 and switch 2. Now don't ask me why. As the water level rises, pushes this one up, turns the pump on. As the water level lowers, as soon as this one hits the bottom, turns the pump off. I should imagine a fairly logic based system going for a relay to the pump. Probably use a Raspberry Pi. I don't know, I'm not really that, I haven't buggered around with electronics for a number of years, but that is kind of that's the underback, and it means you don't have to have the pump running all the time, only when you've got sufficient runoff from the Mash Tun. I guess it would be possible sort of to have a combination of both. This would limit the amount of water above the grain bed, then going down into the underback and pumped into the copper. So really, I mean, that could be that. It's worth thinking about. That is, I hope, understandable, my thing about filtering and sparging. I think that will be a winner. I do like that idea. I was wondering whether I should get perhaps bigger spool tubes and try and find bigger bazookas, but I think these will work. And if necessary, I could always double up on this, so I could have like another of these going to 2 of these. Boom. Lot of cleaning, but worth it. I love the idea of just having everything outside of the copper. I hope that has been interesting. If it has, I can't do it. I simply can't do it. Alright, thanks for watching. Time for a beer.